I am incurable, which sounds like a bad thing, but trust me when I say it is not. In fact, it's one of the most amazing realizations I've had in my entire life. And I've had quite a few. In fact, it pretty much ties together every little other piece, every little other realization that I've had in the past 16 and a half months since I was diagnosed, and ties it all together in a neat little bow and makes perfect sense. But I need to explain it. So let me start at the beginning. It started yesterday night. I went to sleep relatively early, around 7 p.m., like I do lately. Uh, you know, my body's just more tired because of what I'm fighting, but also because I currently have a cold. It's coming to an end, but I still technically have it, so I've been going to bed earlier lately. So I went to bed around 7. It took a while for me to fall asleep, eventually fell asleep around 9, something like that. Woke up, had to go to the bathroom, so I went to the bathroom, came back, and as I was lying there in bed, trying to get back to sleep, for some reason, I'm not quite sure why, not quite sure how it happened, but the word incurable crept into my mind and refused to go away. So I just started thinking about that word and playing it in my head and thinking about it and playing around with it and having fun. And I realized something incredibly amazing about that word. It seems like a bad thing. When someone's like, hey, you have an incurable cancer, you're like, crap, I'm gonna die. That's what most people think. I'm not most people. So as I was thinking about that word, I'm like, wait, if you deconstruct it into its individual parts, it's actually not bad. First, you have in, which means inside. Then you have cure. Sure, it's written C-U-R, but it's pronounced exactly the same as a cure. And then finally, you have able, which means the ability to do, to accomplish something. So if you put those all back together with their individual meanings, you have in, cure, able. So inside me is the cure, and I'm able to use it to cure myself from this incurable cancer. So when you come at it with this new perspective, this new understanding, this new definition, it stops being a bad word and becomes an incredibly powerful word. I've said this over and over again, and I will continue to say this over and over again. Words have tremendous power, and the definitions you associate to those words will define your life and everything in it. As an example, multiple years ago at this point, when I went through that process of falling in love with fear, I took fear, which is inherently a negative, a bad thing, and turned it into something positive by going through that process of falling in love with it and teaching myself fear not only is not a bad thing, it's a signal that it's something important. You need to pay attention to that. But it's also incredibly powerful because when you harness that power of fear, overcome it, gain that power, gain that control for yourself, and then use that to your advantage, it turns fear from a bad thing into a positive thing. And that's the exact same principle that I used for this. I took incurable, which means basically certain death, into something incredibly positive, but also incredibly powerful because the cure is inside me. Basically, I am the cure and I have the ability to use it. And not only was that realization, that shift in definition that I gave that word incredibly powerful, but it ties in everything else. Realization I had near the beginning of this journey when I'm like, wait, my last name is Sauvé, which means saved. I'm already saved. I don't need to be afraid. And this process that I just described of falling in love with fear and all the challenges that I put myself through was me preparing to face the ultimate challenge, this incurable cancer. So I realized, okay. Not only am I already saved, but I've been preparing this for years. So there's always been this sense of, I know I'm going to be okay somehow. I don't know how, I don't know where the cure is going to come from, but I know I'm going to be okay. And I didn't know why, but over time, over the last 16 and a half months, I've gone through a lot of shifts in perspective and how I understand my life, my journey, the world in general. And 6, 7 months ago at this point, I had this realization of, oh, wait, time doesn't really exist. There's a version of the universe where every possible eventuality exists and they all exist simultaneously, and you get to decide which version of that reality you live in. So I'm like, okay, I don't need to try to heal myself. I already am healed. I need to live as that healthy version of myself, because somewhere out there, there is a reality in which I am healed, in which I'm cured, in which I'm no longer battling this cancer. So as long as I live as that version of myself, I will exist in that reality. And this new understanding, this, new definition I've given to the word incurable, it's like, oh, it takes all those different concepts and realizations and ties everything together into the realization that, okay, this journey that I'm going on, this process of curing myself from a supposedly incurable cancer, is teaching me to become incurable. And with this new definition, this new understanding I've given to that word, I view being incurable as an amazing thing. It's like being indestructible. It's like being all powerful. It's like being able to do anything you want at any single moment. And it combines everything. It's like, okay, it's the ability to literally snap your fingers and with the sheer power of your mind, make something you want to happen. Basically, manifestation. But it's also that sensation that I had 6 or 7 months ago when I had that realization, oh, I can exist as the cured version of myself, and that will become my reality. When that happened, when I had that understanding, that shift in perspective, it completely changed my perception of the world. And I just existed in this state of complete and utter blissfulness, of complete happiness, of complete gratitude, and everything was just perfect. There was absolutely nothing wrong. Everything happened exactly the way that it was meant to happen. And that is part of it. So the definition for incurable, yes, is partly what I just described. The cure is within myself. I am basically the cure. And, I'm capable of curing myself. Like, I don't even need to do anything. It is who I am. It's what is meant to happen. But that also applies to much more than just my cancer. It applies to everything in life. So it's like the definition so far, it's evolved a lot because I spent a lot of the night thinking about it. That's why I might look tired today. But the definition kind of evolved. And at this point, the definition that makes the most sense to me, and I'm sure it's going to continue evolving with time, but at the moment, the definition that makes the most sense to me is incurable, is a state of being in which, that is defined or characterized by the sensation of complete bliss, of just like overwhelming bliss, of like everything is perfect, everything is amazing, I'm grateful for everything, as well as the ability, not just the ability, but it's the inevitability of manifesting desired outcomes with the sheer power of my mind. So it's not like, oh, I have that ability. It's like I cannot help but automatically manifest the things that I want in my life. It has become part of who I am. So it really ties those two concepts together. And that has, for now, become the new definition that I've given to the word incurable. So as you can see, there's a lot of things packed into this one thing. It really takes everything that I've learned over the last 16 and a half months, ties it together, and I'm sure I'm going to continue to evolve, to change, to have other realizations, to add bits and pieces to this definition. But as of this moment, I'm going to treat myself as incurable with this new definition. Even though I know, just like manifestation, you need to believe it, you need to live it as if it already existed in order for whatever you're trying to manifest to appear in the real world, to manifest itself. And it's the same thing with this. To go back to the analogy that I came up with a while back of, what I'm going through is like crash landing in the desert and I need to get back to civilization, I need to survive. Well, this journey that I'm going through of traveling through the desert is exactly this. It's me learning to become incurable so that by the time that I escape that desert, by the time I get back to civilization and I'm completely cured, I have become incurable with this new definition of the word. So even though I'm currently going through that process and I'm not yet incurable, I need to believe that I already am, and I need to treat myself and everything in my life with that new perspective. So even though deep down I know, okay, I am not yet incurable, I'm going through the process of becoming that, I am telling my brain, which is telling my body, I already am incurable. From now on, that is how I'm living my life. And as a result of this, I am going to, at least temporarily, as long as it makes sense, maybe eventually I'll come back to the living out loud concept for the YouTube channel. But for now, I'm going to update the YouTube channel, rebrand it with this new definition, this new outlook, this new perspective that I have on life. So from now on, for the time being, for the foreseeable future, the channel will go from being called Living Out Loud Life with Stage 4 Cancer to incurable. So I know that was a lot to pack into a video. I'm still processing everything, still trying to understand everything. But this new understanding has completely, it's not like it's like, oh, a new understanding that changed everything. Like, yes, to some degree. It's more like I've given a word, a name, a definition to everything I've been experiencing, all the realizations I've had. It just combines it all to its purest form. And I mean, I've always known I'm going to write a book once this is over. And I am, at this point, 100% sure, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. But at this point, that will be the name of my book, inCUREable. I-N in lowercase, then C-U-R-E, yes, I'm adding an extra E, C-U-R-E in capital letters, and then A-B-L-E in lowercase. So incurable. That will be the title of my book. That will be the new title of the YouTube channel, and pretty much the new title of my life for the time being. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this all made sense. If not, well, I'm sorry. There's no other way for me to explain it. This is the best way that I can do it. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in the future.